Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour and looked out at the vast darkness of space. His ship was the best that Earth could build, and he was proud of it. The crew had worked for 3 years to reach this moment. They were about to make contact with alien life for the first time in human history. Jake was 35 years old and had spent 15 years in the Earth Defense Force. He had black hair, brown eyes, and a calm way of speaking that made his crew trust him. Today he wore his best uniform because this was the most important day of his life. His wife Susan was waiting for him back on Earth, along with their 2 young children. He had promised to bring back pictures of the aliens they were going to meet. Chief Science Officer Lisa Rodriguez sat at her station and watched the sensor readings. She was brilliant with computers and had studied every piece of information they had about possible alien contact. Lisa was 28 years old with long, dark hair and quick brown eyes. She had joined this mission because she wanted to be the first human to speak with another intelligent species. "Commander, I'm picking up something on long-range sensors," Lisa said. Her voice was excited but professional. "There are ships out there, big ones. They're not moving toward us, but they're definitely watching us." Tactical Officer Kevin Blake looked up from his weapons console. Kevin was a big man with red hair and green eyes. He had been a soldier before joining the space program, and he knew how to handle dangerous situations. "Sir, should I power up our defensive systems?" he asked. Jake shook his head. "No, Kevin. We're here to make friends, not start a fight. These aliens have been traveling between stars for who knows how long. They could destroy us easily if they wanted to. The fact that they haven't means they might be willing to talk." Communications. Specialist Amy Foster was working at her station, trying to establish contact with the alien ships. Amy was 26 years old with blonde hair and blue eyes. She spoke 7 human languages and had developed new programs to help translate alien communication. "Commander, I'm sending out friendship signals on all frequencies. Basic math, music, and pictures of Earth. If they're intelligent, they should understand that we come in peace." The Endeavour was humanity's greatest achievement. It had taken 20 years to build and cost more money than any other project in human history. The ship was 300 meters long and carried a crew of 847 people. It had the most advanced engines, computers, and life support systems that Earth could create. To the humans aboard, it was a miracle of technology. But to the aliens watching from their massive fleet, the Endeavour looked like a toy made by children. High Admiral Zexitar of the Hegemony Prime stood in the command center of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He was a tall, thin creature with gray skin and 4 arms. His species had ruled the galaxy for over 1,000 years, and they did not like surprises. The appearance of this primitive human ship was definitely a surprise. "What do we know about these creatures?" Zexitar asked his intelligence officer. "They call themselves humans, Admiral. They live on the 3rd planet of a small yellow star. Our scouts have been watching them for 300 years. They fight wars with explosive weapons and metal vehicles. They have barely learned to leave their own planet. They are no threat to the Council." Zexitar studied the human ship on his viewing screen. It was so small compared to his fleet that he could barely see it. His own ship was 10 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy entire planets. The human vessel looked like it might not survive a single hit from his weakest weapons. "Have they tried to communicate with us?" he asked. "Yes, Admiral. They are sending simple mathematical concepts and what appears to be music. They seem to think we want to be friends with them." Zexitar made a sound that was like laughter in his species. "Friends? With primitive apes who have barely learned to make fire? The Council has rules about dealing with inferior species. We cannot allow them to spread beyond their home system. They must be eliminated before they become a problem." The Galactic Council was made up of 12 advanced alien species. They had controlled the galaxy for 3,000 years and had rules about everything. One of their most important rules was that primitive species must not be allowed to develop too far. Species like humans were supposed to stay on their home planets until they died out naturally. The Council had destroyed dozens of primitive species over the centuries. They told themselves it was for the good of the galaxy. Primitive species caused wars, used up resources, and made too much noise. It was better to eliminate them before they became troublesome. Back on the Endeavour, Jake Morrison was growing worried. The alien ships had been watching them for 2 hours, but they had not responded to any communication attempts. "Amy, are you getting anything from them?" "Nothing, Commander. They're definitely receiving our signals, but they're not sending anything back. It's like they're ignoring us." Kevin Blake was studying his tactical displays. "Sir, I'm reading energy buildups on several of their ships. It looks like they're charging their weapons." Jake felt his heart start beating faster. "That can't be right. We haven't done anything threatening. We're not even armed with anything that could hurt ships that size." Lisa Rodriguez was running scans of the alien fleet. What she saw made her afraid. "Commander, these ships are huge. The smallest one is bigger than our largest space station. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. If they want to destroy us, we can't stop them." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "Amy, send a message to Earth immediately. Tell them about the alien fleet and give them our exact location. If something happens to us, they need to know." Amy's fingers flew over her controls. "Message sent, Commander. It will take about 4 hours to reach Earth." At that moment, Admiral Zextar gave the order that would doom his entire civilization. "All ships open fire. Destroy the primitive vessel. Leave no survivors." The alien fleet opened fire with weapons that humanity had never imagined. Plasma cannons that burned hotter than the center of a star. Particle beams that could cut through solid metal like butter. Energy weapons that could disintegrate matter at the atomic level. The Endeavour's shields lasted exactly 43 seconds. Jake Morrison had time to send one final message to Earth before his ship was vaporized. "This is Commander Morrison of the UES Endeavour. We are under attack by an alien fleet. They fired without warning. They're going to destroy us. Tell my family I love them. Tell Earth to be ready. They're coming for you next." The explosion that destroyed the Endeavour was visible from 3 star systems away. In less than 2 minutes, 847 human beings were dead. They had come in peace, hoping to make friends with their neighbors in the galaxy. Instead, they had discovered that their neighbors were monsters. On Earth, President Robert Hayes received Commander Morrison's final message in his office at the White House. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been president for 6 years and had seen many crises, but nothing like this. Defense Secretary Linda Carter was with him when the message arrived. She was a smart woman who had spent her career preparing for threats to Earth. She had planned for wars with other countries, terrorist attacks, and natural disasters. She had never planned for this. "How long do we have?" President Hayes asked. "If they're coming directly to Earth, maybe 3 days," Linda answered. "If they're being careful, maybe a week. Either way, we don't have much time." General Paul Wright, the head of Earth's military forces, was called to an emergency meeting. He was a career soldier who had fought in wars on 3 continents. He knew about strategy, tactics, and how to win battles, but he had never fought aliens who could destroy entire planets. "What are our options?" the president asked. General Wright looked at the reports about the alien fleet. The numbers were terrifying. "Mr. President, we have no options. If these aliens want to destroy Earth, we can't stop them. Our most powerful weapons would be like throwing rocks at a battleship. We need to try to negotiate." But President Hayes remembered Commander Morrison's final words. The aliens had fired without warning. They had destroyed a peaceful ship that was trying to make contact. These were not the kind of creatures who would listen to negotiations. As emergency meetings began in every capital city on Earth, humanity realized they were facing extinction. An alien empire that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years had decided that humans were too dangerous to live. The species that had survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars was about to face its greatest challenge. What the aliens did not know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment longer than they could imagine. Earth's greatest secret was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. Dr. Helen Brooks walked into the emergency meeting room deep beneath the Pentagon. She was a woman who had kept the biggest secret in human history for 25 years. Helen was 52 years old with silver hair and sharp gray eyes. She had 3 PhD degrees and had worked on projects that most people thought were science fiction. President Hayes looked up as she entered. Dr. Brooks, please tell me you have good news. We need options, and we need them fast. Helen opened her briefcase and pulled out a tablet computer. The information on it would change everything the world leaders thought they knew about Earth's capabilities. Mr. President, what I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level. Only 12 people on Earth know about Project Prometheus. Defense Secretary Linda Carter leaned forward. What is Project Prometheus? It's humanity's real space program, Helen said quietly. The ships and technology you see in the news are just for show. The real fleet has been under construction for 30 years. We've been preparing for this day since 1995. General Wright frowned. That's impossible. I know about every military project on Earth. There's no way to hide something that big. Helen smiled for the first time in days. General, you know about the projects we wanted you to know about. The real work has been happening in places you've never heard of. Asteroid mining stations that aren't really mining asteroids. Deep space research facilities that aren't really researching space. We've been building a fleet that makes the Endeavour look like a paper airplane. She touched her tablet, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. The image showed a massive space station hidden inside an asteroid near Jupiter. The station was 20 kilometers long and looked nothing like any human technology the leaders had ever seen. This is Prometheus Station, Helen explained. It's been operational for 15 years. We have 6 more stations like it throughout the solar system. Each one can build ships that are more advanced than anything the aliens have ever encountered. President Hayes stared at the image. How is this possible? Where did this technology come from? We've been reverse engineering alien technology since 1947, Helen said. Every crashed ship, every piece of alien equipment we could find. We've been studying it, improving it, and building our own versions. The aliens think we're primitive because that's what we wanted them to think. Colonel Steve Martinez had been sitting quietly in the corner of the room. He was the military commander of humanity's secret space fleet. Steve was 43 years, old with black hair and brown eyes. He had been flying advanced spacecraft for 10 years, but no one outside of Project Prometheus knew he existed. Sir, we have 68 combat vessels ready for immediate deployment, Steve reported. Each ship is equipped with quantum tunnel drives, antimatter weapons, and shield technology that surpasses anything in the alien fleet. We've been watching their ships for decades. We know their weaknesses. The president looked confused. Quantum tunnel drives? Antimatter weapons? That sounds like something from a movie. Dr. Carol Thompson spoke up from her seat at the table. She was the head of weapons development for Project Prometheus. Carol was 38 years old with red hair and green eyes. She had created weapons that could destroy entire planets if necessary. Mr. President, we have technology that can tunnel through space itself. Our ships can appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. We have weapons that can consume matter at the quantum level, turning entire enemy fleets into nothing but energy. We have defensive systems that can make our ships invisible to any kind of sensor. General Wright was having trouble believing what he was hearing. If we have all this technology, why didn't we use it to protect the Endeavour? Helen's expression became sad. Because we needed the aliens to attack first. We needed them to reveal their true nature to the galaxy. Commander Morrison and his crew were heroes who gave their lives so that humanity could justify what we're about to do. Captain Ryan Powell had been waiting outside the meeting room. He commanded the flagship of humanity's secret fleet, the UES Retribution. Ryan was 35 years old with blonde hair and blue eyes. His ship was 15 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Dr. Brooks, the Retribution is ready for combat operations, he reported as he entered the room. All systems are online and the crew is prepared for immediate deployment. President Hayes realized that everything he thought he knew about Earth's capabilities was wrong. How many people are involved in this project? About 50,000, Helen answered. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, support staff. They all live and work in the hidden facilities throughout the solar system. Their families think they work for private companies doing classified research. None of them know the full scope of the project. Dr. Peter Jackson was responsible for humanity's most terrifying weapon. He was 45 years old with gray hair. and blue eyes behind thick glasses. Peter had created something that could end entire alien species without firing a single shot. "We call them nanites," Peter explained. "They're microscopic machines that can replicate themselves using any available matter. We've programmed them to consume only non-human genetic material. They can be deployed through our quantum delivery system across entire star systems simultaneously." The room became very quiet. President Hayes understood what Dr. Jackson was describing. "You're talking about a weapon that could wipe out every alien in the galaxy." "If necessary, yes," Peter replied calmly. "The nanites can be programmed to target specific species or to ignore certain genetic markers. We can eliminate the hostile species while leaving peaceful ones alone, or we can eliminate all of them if they refuse to surrender." Intelligence Officer Nicole Davis had been monitoring alien communications for 15 years. She was 31 years old with brown hair and brown eyes. Nicole spoke 12 alien languages and understood their military strategies better than most of their own commanders.
"The aliens have no idea we've been listening to their communications," Nicole reported. "We know the location of every council world, every military base, every important installation. We have detailed maps of their territories and complete
information about their defenses." Admiral Marcus Green commanded the decoy fleet that the aliens would see when they arrived at Earth. His ships were designed to look like upgraded versions of current human technology. The aliens would easily destroy them, which would make humanity appear weak and helpless. "My fleet will engage the alien forces when they arrive," Marcus explained. "We'll put up a brave fight and lose convincingly. The aliens will think they've won, and they'll call for reinforcements from their home worlds. That's when we'll strike." President Hayes was beginning to understand the scope of the plan. "You're going to let them attack Earth?" "We're going to let them think they're attacking Earth," Helen corrected. "Our defensive systems can protect the planet from anything they can throw at us, but we need them to commit their forces so we can destroy them all at once." Captain Michelle Turner commanded one of the strike fleets that would attack the alien homeworlds. She was 29 years old with black hair and blue eyes. Her fleet specialized in attacking heavily defended targets. "We've identified 12 primary targets in the alien empire," Michelle reported. "Industrial worlds, military headquarters, government centers. We can hit all of them simultaneously using our quantum tunnel network. They won't have time to coordinate a response." Lieutenant Commander Alex Parker was responsible for deploying the nanite weapons. He was 32 years old with brown hair and green eyes. His job was to eliminate entire alien populations without damaging their planets. The nanites can be delivered through their water supplies, atmosphere, or directly into their cities, Alex explained. "Once deployed, they will consume all alien life on a planet within hours. The planets will be left intact and ready for human colonization." General Wright was starting to see the bigger picture. "This isn't just about defending Earth. You're planning to conquer the entire galaxy." "The aliens made that choice for us," Helen replied. "They decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist. They were right, but not in the way they thought. We are too dangerous to exist as their subjects. We're going to be their masters instead." Captain Daniel Moore commanded the siege fleet that would attack the alien military headquarters. He was 37 years old with red hair and brown eyes. His ships were designed to break through the strongest defenses in the galaxy. "The fortress world of Bastille is supposed to be impregnable," Daniel reported. "It has orbital platforms, energy shields, and automated defense systems, but we can tunnel our ships directly inside their defensive perimeter. We'll destroy them from within before they know we're there." Commander Julia Adams was humanity's best cyber warfare specialist. She was 28 years old with blonde hair and blue eyes. Julia could turn an enemy's own computer systems against them. "I can take control of their defensive networks and turn their weapons on each other," Julia explained. "Their computer systems are advanced, but they're not designed to resist the kind of attacks we can launch. We can make their own planets destroy themselves." Admiral Sandra Bell would command the attack on the alien capital world. She was 41 years old with gray hair and brown eyes. Captain Michelle Turner stood on the bridge of her ship, the UES Vengeance, as it emerged from quantum tunnel space above the alien world of Kethvar. The planet was covered with massive factories and industrial complexes that had been building weapons for the Galactic Council for over 1,000 years. In 10 minutes, all of it would be nothing but dust. Michelle was 29 years old and had trained for this moment her entire adult life. She had never seen an alien before today, but she knew everything about their military capabilities. Her job was to destroy the Council's ability to build new ships and weapons. She intended to do it perfectly. All ships, begin attack pattern. Alpha, she ordered. Her fleet of 20 vessels spread out across the planet's sky. Each ship was armed with antimatter torpedoes that could destroy entire city blocks with single shots. The aliens on Kethvar had no warning. Their sensors detected the human ships only seconds before the first missiles struck. The alien commander, General Thexnar, watched from his command center as explosions began appearing across his planet. "What kind of weapons are those?" he shouted at his tactical officer. "Our shields should stop any primitive human attack." "Sir, these aren't normal explosives," the officer replied in panic. "They're destroying matter at the molecular level. Our shields are useless against them." Captain Turner watched through her ship's cameras as alien factories simply vanished. The antimatter weapons didn't just destroy buildings, they made them cease to exist completely. Where massive industrial complexes had stood for centuries, there was now only empty ground. "Target the military shipyards next," she ordered. "I want every construction facility on this planet eliminated." At the same time, Lieutenant Commander Alex Parker was approaching the water world of Aquanus in his stealth ship, the UES Silent Death. The planet was home to the Depth-3, an aquatic alien species that lived in underwater cities. Alex's mission was different from Captain Turner's. Instead of destroying buildings, he was going to eliminate an entire species. Alex was 32 years old and had volunteered for the most terrible job in human history. The nanites he carried could kill every living alien on the planet while leaving everything else untouched. He told himself it was necessary. The aliens had tried to destroy humanity first. "Beginning nanite deployment," he reported to his commanders. "On Earth. Target species Depth-3. Estimated elimination time 6 hours." Alex released millions of microscopic machines into Aquanus's ocean currents. The nanites were programmed to consume only alien genetic material. They would spread through the water and find every Depth-3 on the planet. The aliens would simply disappear, as if they had never existed. On the fortress world of Bastille, Captain Daniel Moore was leading the most dangerous assault of the war. The planet was covered with military bases and orbital defense platforms. It was supposed to be impossible to attack. The aliens had built it to withstand fleets of enemy ships, but they had never planned for enemies who could appear inside their defenses. Daniel was 37 years old and had studied this planet for 5 years. He knew every defensive system, every weapon placement, every weak point in their security. His ships used quantum tunneling to bypass the orbital platforms completely. "All units begin interior assault," he ordered. His fleet of 15 ships materialized inside the planet's atmosphere, already past the alien defenses. The alien fortress commander, Admiral Kexthon, stared in disbelief as human ships appeared throughout his defensive grid. "Impossible. How did they get through our shields?" "Sir, they didn't go through our shields," his sensor operator reported. "They went around them somehow. They're already inside our perimeter." Captain Moore's ships began destroying military bases from within the defensive zone. The alien weapons were all pointed outward to stop attacking fleets. They couldn't turn around fast enough to target enemies who were already inside. Commander Julia Adams was aboard one of Captain Moore's ships, working at her computer systems. She was 28 years old and could hack into any alien network ever built. Her job was to turn the planet's defenses against themselves. "I'm in their main computer network," she reported, "taking control of their orbital platforms now." Julia's fingers moved quickly across her keyboard. She had been studying alien computer systems for 10 years and knew them better than most aliens did. Within minutes, she had control of Bastille's massive defensive weapons. The alien defenders watched in horror as their own orbital platforms began firing on their military bases. Weapons that were meant to protect the planet were now destroying it from above. On the alien capital world of Unity Station, Admiral Sandra Bell was conducting the most important mission of the war. Her job was to capture the Galactic Council's leaders alive and force them to surrender publicly. The galaxy needed to see their rulers defeated by humans. Sandra was 41 years old and had commanded starships for 15 years. She had never lost a battle, and she didn't intend to start today. Her fleet of 30 ships surrounded Unity Station, cutting off all escape routes. "Attention, Galactic Council," she broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Admiral Sandra Bell of the human fleet. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to human military law. Resist, and you will be destroyed." The council members were gathered in their emergency bunker deep beneath the planet's surface. High Chancellor Vexmore, leader of the council for over 200 years, couldn't believe what was happening. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "The humans are primitives. They barely have space travel." "Sir, our fleets throughout the galaxy are reporting simultaneous attacks," his intelligence chief reported. "Human ships are appearing everywhere at once. They have technology we've never seen before." Admiral Bell's ships began destroying Unity Station's defensive systems one by one, but she was careful not to damage the government buildings. She needed the council leaders alive to surrender. "Deploy the boarding teams," she ordered. "I want." The council members captured within 1 hour. Human soldiers in advanced battle armor began teleporting directly into the council's bunker. The alien guards had never faced opponents who could appear inside their most secure facilities. Captain Tony Lopez was leading a different kind of mission on the industrial world of Mechanus Prime. His ship, the UES Phoenix, was equipped with experimental weapons that could destroy an entire planet if necessary. But Tony's orders were more specific than that. Tony was 34 years old and had been chosen for this mission because he was willing to do whatever was necessary to protect humanity. His target was the Council's main computer center, where they stored information about every species in the galaxy. "Beginning data extraction," he reported. "We need their complete files on all alien species before we destroy the facility." Tony's team of computer experts worked quickly to download thousands of years of alien records. The information would help humanity understand which alien species were dangerous and which ones could be allowed to live. While his team worked, Tony watched the battle raging around the planet. Other human ships were destroying alien vessels that tried to defend the world. The aliens were brave, but their technology was no match for humanity's advanced weapons. On the mining world of Extractus, Captain Ryan Powell was testing humanity's most powerful weapon. The UES Retribution carried a device that could destroy an entire planet's core, causing it to explode like a giant bomb. Ryan was 35 years old and commanded the most powerful ship in the human fleet. His orders were to demonstrate humanity's ability to destroy worlds completely. The aliens needed to understand that resistance was futile. "Charging planet killer weapon," he announced. "All ships, move to safe distance." The device sent energy, beams deep into Extractus's core, causing a chain reaction that would tear the planet apart. It was a demonstration of what would happen to any world that refused to surrender to human rule. On Aquinas, Lieutenant Commander Parker watched his instruments as the nanites spread through the planet's oceans. The microscopic machines were working exactly as designed. Every depth-3 on the planet was being consumed at the molecular level. "Elimination 90% complete," he reported. "Estimated time to full species extinction, 30 minutes. The underwater cities of Aquinas were becoming empty shells. The nanites left all the buildings intact, but every alien inhabitant simply vanished. It was the most efficient genocide in galactic history. Captain Turner's assault on Kethvar was nearly complete. The planet's entire industrial capacity had been destroyed in less than 2 hours. Factories that had built warships for 1,000 years were now empty craters. "All primary targets eliminated," she reported. "Industrial capacity reduced to 0. The Council won't be building any new ships from this world." Throughout the galaxy, human forces were achieving victory after victory. The aliens had never faced enemies who could strike everywhere at once. Their military commanders couldn't coordinate defenses because they were all under attack simultaneously. Admiral Zextar, who had ordered the destruction of the Endeavor, was trapped on his flagship as human ships surrounded him. He had expected to conquer a primitive world. Instead, he was watching his entire civilization collapse. "All ships, retreat to hyperspace," he ordered desperately. High Chancellor Vexmore sat in chains aboard Admiral Bell's flagship, watching the destruction of his empire through the ship's viewing screen. He was 800 years old and had ruled the galaxy for 2 centuries. Now he was a prisoner of the species he had called primitive apes. "You must understand," he said to Admiral Bell. "We have a weapon that can destroy your entire solar system. If you don't release us immediately, we will turn your sun into a supernova." Sandra Bell looked at the alien leader with cold eyes. She was 41 years old and had fought in 20 battles during the past week. She had seen what the aliens were capable of, and she knew they would use any weapon they had. "Tell me about this weapon," she demanded. "The Stellar Cascade device," Vexmore said with pride. "It can manipulate the nuclear reactions inside any star. Your sun will explode and destroy every planet in your system. Earth, Mars, Jupiter, all of them will be vaporized." Admiral Bell activated her communicator. "Command, this is Bell. The aliens have a superweapon that can destroy our solar system. We need immediate intelligence on something called the Stellar Cascade device." Dr. Helen Brooks received the message at Prometheus Station near Jupiter. She had been coordinating the galactic assault for the past 24 hours. Helen was exhausted but determined to finish what humanity had started. "Nicole, I need everything we have on alien superweapons," she called to Intelligence Officer Davis. Nicole Davis had been monitoring alien communications throughout the war. She was 31 years old and had learned to think like the aliens. She studied. Her face went pale as she searched through the classified files. "Dr. Brooks, I found it," Nicole said quietly. "The Stellar Cascade device is located in the Andromeda approach, about 50 light-years from Earth. It's on a massive space station protected by their most advanced fleet." Helen studied the intelligence reports. The weapon was real, and it was more dangerous than anything humanity had encountered. "How does it work?" "It sends quantum energy pulses directly into a star's core," Nicole explained. "The pulses disrupt the nuclear reactions that keep the star stable. Within 8 hours, the star goes supernova and destroys everything within 10 light-years. President Hayes was awakened at 3 in the morning with news of the alien superweapon. He had been sleeping for only 2 hours after coordinating Earth's defenses all day. The weight of humanity's survival rested on his shoulders. "How long do we have?" he asked Dr. Brooks over the secure communication link. "The weapon requires authorization from all 12 Council species," Helen replied. "With most of their leaders captured or dead, they need at least 7 species to activate it. Our intelligence suggests they already have 6 confirmations." Defense Secretary Linda Carter was in the Pentagon War Room, studying tactical displays of the alien weapon station. The facility was enormous, bigger than any human space station ever built. It was surrounded by defensive fleets using technology that humanity had never encountered. "General Wright, what are our options?" she asked. General Paul Wright looked at the battle plans his staff had prepared. He was 62 years old and had spent his career planning for impossible situations. This was the most impossible situation he had ever faced. "We have one chance," he said grimly. "A direct assault on the weapon station before they can activate the device. But we'll have to fight through defenses that we don't fully understand." Admiral Chris Evans was chosen to lead the mission. He was 45 years old and had commanded the deepest space operations in human history. His job was to take a fleet into the most dangerous battle humanity had ever fought. "How many ships can we spare?" he asked Dr. Brooks. 37 vessels, she replied. "Everything else is needed to hold our conquered territories. If we lose this battle, the aliens might retake their worlds while Earth is being destroyed." Captain Tony Lopez volunteered to lead the suicide mission aboard the experimental ship, UES Phoenix. The Phoenix was equipped with humanity's newest prototype technology, including systems that existed partially outside normal spacetime. Tony was 34 years old and had already proven his courage in the assault on Mechanus Prime. He knew this mission would probably kill him, but he also knew that someone had to try. The Phoenix can phase shift like the alien fighters, he explained to Admiral Evans. "But the process is extremely dangerous. The ship might not survive more than a few minutes in phase shift mode." Engineer Katie Morris was assigned to Tony's crew. She was 27 years old and had designed some of the Phoenix's most advanced systems. Katie understood the ship's capabilities better than anyone, including its fatal weaknesses. "Sir, I've developed a way to overload the weapon stations. Power core," she told Captain Lopez. "If we can get close enough, I can create recursive quantum feedback loops that will destroy the entire facility." The human fleet approached the Andromeda approach at maximum speed. Admiral Evans knew they had less than 6 hours before the stellar cascade device would be ready to fire. The fate of Earth depended on winning a battle against impossible odds. The alien weapon station was protected by ships unlike anything humanity had faced before. Energy vampires that could drain power from human vessels, making them helpless. Phase shift fighters that existed partially outside normal space-time, making them nearly impossible to target. Most dangerous of all was the Quantum Fortress, a massive ship that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. It could fire weapons from one dimension while remaining protected in another. Human sensors could barely detect it, and their weapons couldn't harm it. "All ships, engage enemy forces," Admiral Evans ordered. "Remember, we only need to buy the Phoenix enough time to reach the weapon station." Captain Jennifer Walsh commanded the UES destroyer, one of humanity's fastest attack ships. She was 33 years old and specialized in fighting enemies that used unusual tactics. Her job was to figure out how to destroy the Quantum Fortress. "It's phasing between dimensions every few seconds," she reported to Admiral Evans. "Our weapons can't lock onto it long enough to cause damage." Captain Walsh studied her sensor readings carefully. The Quantum Fortress had a pattern to its dimensional shifts. If she could predict when it would appear in normal space, she might be able to hit it. "All ships concentrate fire on coordinates 127 Mark 89, she ordered. "Fire in 3 seconds whether you can see the target or not." 20 human ships fired simultaneously at empty space. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Quantum Fortress materialized exactly where Captain Walsh had predicted, directly in the path of the human weapons. The fortress exploded in a brilliant flash of light that could be seen from 3 star systems away. Captain Walsh had solved the puzzle of fighting an enemy that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Meanwhile, the energy vampire ships were draining power from human vessels throughout the battle zone. Captain Ryan Powell's ship, the UES Retribution, lost engine power and weapons within minutes of engaging the strange alien craft. "They're somehow absorbing our energy output," he reported. "Every time we fire our weapons, they get stronger and we get weaker." Dr. Peter Jackson was aboard the Retribution as a scientific observer. He was 45 years old and had created humanity's nanite weapons. Peter studied the energy vampires with intense curiosity. "Captain, try shutting down all your systems for exactly 10 seconds, he suggested. "I think these ships need a constant energy source to maintain their vampire effect." Captain Powell ordered all systems offline for 10 seconds. When the ship's power came back online, the energy vampire that had been draining it was floating, dead in space, its strange organic hull withering like a dying plant. "It worked," Powell reported excitedly. "The vampire ships can't survive without a constant energy source. Pass this information to all human vessels immediately." As the human fleet learned to counter the alien defenses, Captain Lopez guided the Phoenix toward the weapons station itself. The experimental ship was taking enormous stress from its phase shift systems, but it was the only vessel that could penetrate the station's defensive barriers. "Katie, how much longer can the ship hold together?" Tony asked his engineer. Katie Morris was monitoring systems that were operating far beyond their design limits. Warning lights flashed throughout the Phoenix's engineering section, and several systems were already showing signs of failure. "Maybe 5 more minutes in phase shift mode," she replied. "After that, the ship will tear itself apart at the molecular level." The weapon station was massive beyond human comprehension. It was 100 kilometers long and contained technology that had been developed over thousands of years. At its center was the stellar cascade device, a machine that could turn stars into weapons of mass destruction. "I'm reading the weapons charging sequence," Katie reported. "It's at 80% power and rising. We have less than 1 hour before it can fire. Captain Lopez pushed the Phoenix through the station's outer defenses. The ship's phase shift systems allowed it to pass through solid barriers, but the strain was enormous. Hull plates were beginning to separate and the ship's structural integrity was failing. "Katie, can you reach the power core from here?" Tony asked. "Negative, sir. We need to get at least 10 kilometers closer to the station's center." Tony made the decision that would determine Earth's fate. The explosion of the stellar cascade device lit up the space around Earth like a second sun. Captain Tony Lopez and engineer Katie Morris had given their lives to save humanity's homeworld. The sacrifice of the Phoenix crew sent a message throughout the galaxy that humans would do anything to protect what was theirs. Admiral Chris Evans watched the explosion from his flagship, the UES Guardian. He was 45 years old and had just witnessed the bravest act in human history. His communication officer was receiving messages from across the galaxy as alien civilizations realized their ultimate weapon was gone. "Sir, we're getting surrender. Requests from 17 different alien species," the officer reported. "They're all asking for mercy and offering to serve under human rule." On Earth, President Robert Hayes received the news in the White House Situation Room. The man who had started this week thinking humanity was alone in the universe was now the leader of a galactic empire. He was tired, overwhelmed, and trying to understand what his species had become. "Dr. Brooks, what's our current military situation?" he asked over the secure communication link. Dr. Helen Brooks was coordinating the aftermath of the war from Prometheus Station. She was 52 years old and had spent 25 years preparing for this moment. Now that it had arrived, she found herself responsible for governing an entire galaxy. "Mr. President, we control 47 star systems and have captured or destroyed most of the Council's military forces," she reported. "The remaining alien fleets are scattered and unable to coordinate effective resistance." Defense Secretary Linda Carter was studying reports from across the galaxy. The speed of humanity's victory was almost unbelievable. In less than 1 week, they had gone from a single planet to rulers of the known universe. "What about the alien civilian populations?" she asked. "We can't govern billions of creatures we don't understand." Intelligence Officer Nicole Davis had been analyzing alien society structures for years. She was 31 years old and understood alien cultures better than most aliens did. Her job now was to help humanity rule species that had controlled the galaxy for thousands of years. "Most alien civilizations are actually quite peaceful," Nicole explained. "The Council used military force to control them, but many species will be happier under human rule. The key is showing them that we're better leaders than their previous masters." The first test of humanity's new role came when a delegation of alien survivors arrived at Luna Station, Earth's orbital diplomatic facility. The group was led by Queen Cassara of the insectoid hive mind species and the Eternal Sage, a crystalline entity that had lived for over 10,000 years. Ambassador Kelly Foster was chosen to meet with the alien delegates. She was 36 years old and had studied alien languages and cultures for 15 years. Kelly had never expected to use her knowledge to negotiate the surrender of an entire galactic civilization. "We come seeking terms for our people's survival," Queen Cassara said through her translation device. Her species communicated through chemical signals, but they had learned human languages to facilitate negotiations. The Eternal Sage's voice sounded like music made from crystal bells. "Great humans, we acknowledge your superiority in warfare. We ask only that you allow our species to continue existing." President Hayes entered the negotiation room flanked by Admiral Evans and Dr. Brooks. The most powerful man on Earth was about to dictate terms to beings who had ruled the galaxy when humans were still living in caves. "The Galactic Council made a choice when they attacked the Endeavor," President Hayes said firmly. "They decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist. They were right about us being dangerous, but wrong about who would be eliminated." Queen Eye. Cassara's antennae trembled with fear. Her species had been part of the Council for over 2,000 years, but they had never been the ones making the important decisions. "What are your terms for our surrender?" "Complete dissolution of the Galactic Council," President Hayes replied. "All alien military forces will be disbanded and their weapons destroyed under human supervision. Your worlds will be governed by human-appointed administrators. Any species that proves they can live peacefully will be allowed to continue existing. The Eternal Sage's crystalline body flickered with different colors as it processed the terms. And what of species that refuse these conditions? Dr. Carol Thompson entered the room carrying a sealed container. She was 38 years old and had created the nanite weapons that could eliminate entire species. Her presence at the negotiations was a reminder of what would happen to aliens who resisted human rule. Any species that refuses our terms will be eliminated completely, Dr. Thompson said calmly. We have weapons that can remove every trace of alien life from a planet, while leaving the world intact for human colonization. The alien delegates understood the threat. They had seen what happened to the Depthry on Aquanus. An entire species had simply vanished, consumed by microscopic machines that left no evidence they had ever existed. We accept your terms, Queen Cassara said quickly. Our species will serve humanity faithfully. The Eternal Sage's colors shifted to patterns that indicated submission. The crystalline collective surrenders to human authority. We offer our knowledge and technology in service to your empire. 1 year after the war's end, humanity had established the Human Colonial Administration to govern their new galactic empire. Ambassador Kelly Foster had been promoted to Director of Alien Affairs, responsible for managing over 300 different alien species across 74 star systems. Some alien species adapted well to human rule. The gentle ones, a peaceful species that had been oppressed by the Council for centuries, found their lives greatly improved under human protection. Their agricultural worlds became some of the most productive in the galaxy, feeding both human colonists and allied alien populations. Captain Michelle Turner, who had destroyed the industrial world of Kethvar, was now governor of the hegemony, Prime Sector. She was 29 years old and controlled 12 star systems that had once been the heart of alien military power. Her job was to ensure that the former Council species never again posed a threat to humanity. The former hegemony. Leaders are adapting to their new roles, she reported to Earth. They understand that cooperation with human authority is their only path to survival. But not all aliens accepted human rule peacefully. On the former Council world of Tyrex Prime, a resistance movement led by the surviving members of the warrior caste attempted to overthrow human authority. They discovered that humanity's patience had limits. Captain Ryan Powell, commander of the UES Retribution, was sent to deal with the rebellion. He was 35 years old and had earned a reputation as humanity's most ruthless military commander. His orders were simple. Eliminate all resistance permanently. Deploy the nanites, he ordered Lieutenant Commander Alex Parker. I want every member of the warrior caste eliminated within 6 hours. The rebellion on Tyrex Prime ended the same way the Depth-3 civilization had ended. The resistant aliens simply vanished, consumed by microscopic machines that left no trace of their existence. The lesson was clear to every species in the galaxy. Humans were not cruel rulers, but they were absolutely final ones. Dr. Peter Jackson established research facilities on captured alien worlds to study the technology of conquered species. He was 45 years old and had access to scientific knowledge accumulated over thousands of years. His job was to improve human technology using the best discoveries of alien civilizations. We're learning incredible things, he reported to Dr. Brooks. Alien medical technology can extend human lifespans to over 300 years. Their agricultural techniques can make any planet suitable for human colonization. We're not just conquering the galaxy, we're improving it. Captain Luke Morrison, younger brother of the Endeavor's commander, was given command of the new flagship, First Endeavor II. He was 32 years old and had spent the past year training with humanity's most advanced technologies. His ship was larger and more powerful than anything the old Galactic Council had ever built. This ship represents everything we've learned from conquered alien technology, Luke explained to visiting Earth officials. It's 10 times more powerful than the original Endeavor, and it carries enough firepower to destroy entire star systems if necessary. The memorial to the original Endeavor crew was built on Luna Station, where the peace negotiations had taken place. The names of Commander Jake Morrison and his 847 crew members were engraved in quantum crystalline walls that would last for millions of years. President Hayes visited the memorial on the first anniversary of the war. He was older now, marked by the responsibility of ruling a galactic empire. His wife Margaret stood beside him as he read the names of the people whose sacrifice had made humanity's victory possible. "They came in peace, seeking friendship with our neighbors," he said to the assembled crowd of humans and aliens. "Instead, they found monsters who believed that might made right. Their deaths taught us that the galaxy needed better rulers. We became those rulers." On Earth, children attended schools where they learned the revised history of the galaxy. Human teachers explained to young students that their species had always been destined to rule the stars.